Welcome to A Gypsy's Kiss, the vlog. I'm Shelley Carney.
And I'm Toby Unit. Stick with us a couple of seconds and we will share one of our favorite lists with you.
So is it a list of wine?
Ooh, yeah.
Wine list?
Well, I think we only have one on that list, right?
Only one?
Yeah.
Oh, we like
Love
lots
Block.
of them. We like lots of them. Especially if they're from Black Mesa.
Black Mesa does have some good ones.
They do. Coyote.
Coyote.
Yeah.
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 But we're not here to talk about wines.
Oh,
We're here to talk about serious stuff.
serious stuff.
Go ahead. Serious. Be serious.
Oh,
So we are on. We got people in the room.
okay. And we are
I need to refresh, but
refreshing, and we
yeah.
are ready for
yeah, you can do that.
housekeeping, except I need to turn my sound up here.
Somehow or the other, I think.
Maybe
that's
they were
gonna
knocking
come
on the
back to
neighbor's
bite us.
door instead. Oh, now they're here.
Oh.
Housekeeping! So today we want to send out big thanks to our moderators, Jimmy Fast, Joel Lewicki, Jason Eunice, Brian Eagle. And if you would like to be a moderator for A Gypsy's Kiss, send us an email at agypsieskiss@gmail.com and just let us know you're interested and we'll send you the information to get that started. Our presentation today about the AGK's 10 question viability list will be followed by an open Q&A, but right in the middle of everything is some pictures from our subscribers that they've sent in to share with everybody.
Yeah, that'll be fun. We've got I don't know, probably about 15, 18 photographs that our viewers have sent to us with the locations where they took those pictures, so we'll share those with you. This is our giveaway today, so I'm going to do two things. I'm going to give away the La Conquistadora pendant, and I'll tell you the story of La Conquistadora. Well, I won't tell you the entire story. And we're going to give away one of Aunt Lucy's cookbooks since it's very popular. And I need to apologize to a couple of our viewers, Troy Barlow and T.I. Mattis. Tammy Mattis. I mixed the labels on your packages last week. And so, Tammy, you got the ornaments, and Troy, you got the cookbook. Tammy, I know you want the cookbook, so I will send you one of those on Friday. Troy, let me know if the cookbook and the spatula is okay for you. If it's not, I'll take them back and send you some ornaments. Okay?
They make a nice gift.
Yeah, they do make a nice gift. So, but today we'll give away La Conquistadora and Lucy's cookbook. Okay?
So stay tuned till the end
Till the end,
for the giveaway.
For the Q&A, for the
Yeah.
trivia question.
Must be present to win.
So
Well, actually not.
yeah,
You must follow the instructions and be
follow.
the first one.
Exactly.
So,
Are we ready to rock and roll? Do we have any other announcements?
nothing that can't wait.
All right. So this comes from a conversation that I recently had, and I'm going to show you. Actually, this presentation comes as a result of a conversation I had with a searcher recently. And this is a list that we maintain of 10 questions that we ask ourselves when one of the members of the team proposes a solution. And these are the questions that we have yes answers to before we start to invest any time, whether it's in research or travel time or whatever, into this particular solution, into that solution as proposed by one of the team members. And I think you heard either last week or a couple of weeks ago, Jason mentioned that he's working on a solution that doesn't fit necessarily our criteria, but he wants to pursue it. And that, of course, is allowed. I can't stop him from pursuing his own solution. I can only advise him based on my experience. But he's an oldest child, and us oldest children always want to do our own thing. And I appreciate that in him. This strategy actually evolved out of a business strategy that was very popular in the mid-2000s. And it was called the viability strategy. And it was a measurement of three things in a business. One, desirability. How much does the individual, the human component, want this to happen? The second part was feasibility. Was the technology available were the components necessary to achieve this, the non-sentient components, right? The irrational non-sentient components necessary to accomplish this mission. And then viability was, is it at all possible from a business perspective with the investment of all the business's resources, manpower, money, et cetera, to achieve this? And so it became known as the viability strategy. And so when I started developing the list, I started thinking it in terms of those three things. How much do we want it? What's the technology, if you will, available to accomplish it? And what's the realistically, what are the chances of success? And so the other thing too is the recognition that this was a measure of solutions that hadn't been tested yet, right? We hadn't literally gone out in the field to test these solutions. It was a set of thoughts that we used to evaluate our solution. And then we'd go out and either do one of two things, either scout it to see how far we could get on either a physical level, and being in the location level, or based on the solution to that point. And then the second one was an actual recon, a sense that we were in the right location and we had to start looking for the treasure. So that's how we used those three things, right? The list, the scout, and the recon. And you'll hear us say, we're going out this weekend for a scouting trip, or we're going out this weekend for a recon, right? When we go out for a recon, we expect that there is a possibility that we may discover the treasure. When we go out for a scout, we're not going out for locating the treasure. We're going out to validate our assumptions at that point. Yeah. So we've had this for a while, but I have to mention a couple of caveats. The first caveat is that this list of 10 questions is what we use. We didn't get them from anybody. We didn't use anybody else's. We don't expect that you need to use them. This is what we use, and it's based on the assumption that the treasure is hidden in New Mexico, not someplace in the Rockies, but in New Mexico. That's an assumption we make. You don't have to limit yourself to that. As a matter of fact, if you plan on using this questionnaire, if you will, this viability list, you're going to have to modify it to accommodate the fact that it is designed specifically for us to be used in New Mexico. So if you're, we're not, what's the matter?
Stretching.
Oh, okay. We don't mean to, if you're going to ask us questions about, well, what if it's in Wyoming? You're going to have to modify the list. We don't believe it's in Wyoming. We believe it's in New Mexico, and that's how the list is designed. But you're welcome to change it, use it, and change it however you need to accommodate your perception of where you believe the treasure is. And and I've already said that, but you can adapt them. This is, again, the caveat is we think it's in New Mexico, so the questions are driven by that. But you can adapt them if you believe, should you believe, that the treasure is some other location. The reason this popped up as a topic of conversation for us this week is I recently exchanged a set of text messages with a searcher. And the first of the messages was kind of a request that said to us that the searcher knew where the treasure was. The exact words, I actually know where the treasure is, but I'm not going to be able to go get it. And then at the end of that sentence, or the end of that paragraph, they said, I just want this over. And I couldn't read anything into that. I didn't know why they just wanted it over. And so I got a sense that what they wanted us to do was effectively go in their place to recover this treasure based on the information that they were going to provide. So I did what I would do to Kevin or Shelley or Jason if they suggested that they knew where the treasure was. I asked one of the questions from the list, can you give me the precise location of where warm waters halt? And I mean, by precise, I mean geographically specific. And the response that I got was, I don't have the coordinates. And then it went off kilter from there. I don't have the coordinates. I can name the town both once, and he said at the book signing he was pacing the floor. And at that point I realized there's no way that I can work with a solution that lacks cohesion. because to me that there was no cohesion there. There was no sense making of it. And so it's important, I think, for anyone who's looking for this treasure to have a sense of viability in their solution, that it's not just a bunch of words that somehow or other have become a recitation of where you think this treasure was. Because when I hear the phrase, I don't have the coordinates, I can name the town, but once, and he said the book signing was that he said at the book signing he was pacing the floor. To me, I don't know how you start with that. And it certainly isn't an answer to the question, can you give me the precise location of where your warm water's hauled? And so this is what we use. It's based on the belief that we think the treasure is in New Mexico, and we're sharing it with you in case you want to use them as well for your
Is this
own
going to be
purposes.
in the blog?
Pardon me?
So, do they have to take notes, or is this going to be in the
No,
blog?
I actually posted these to our blog last night, so you can find them. You can actually find them there. So let me start with this. Okay, number one, could an 80-year-old man carrying a 22-pound load make the trip to and from your anticipated location of the treasure without putting himself at risk? And I use anticipated location of the treasure as a euphemism for Fenn's special place, where the treasure is going to be, and potentially where Fenn could have laid down to die. And I'm including the entire trip. I'm including the period from which you wake when you imagine Fenn woke up in the morning, loaded his vehicle, made some sandwiches, packed some water, drove off from wherever his starting point was, and then did what he said he did, found his location, followed the clues to the point that the treasure was that he was going to hide the treasure, made that trip twice, and then returned home. So to me, that's a trip that you have to consider in its entirety, from the beginning to the end, not just from the point where a car was parked, we imagine, and you traveled down a river twice. Okay, you have to consider the entirety of the trip. Second, is the anticipated location of the treasure in a place where you believe Forrest Fenn would hide his treasure and perhaps even lay down to die? You've heard Shelley and I use the phrase, it's not Fenny enough. And that's what we mean. Is it the kind of place that you could imagine that Forrest Fenn, the raconteur, the pilot, the architect, the bon vivant, the art gallery owner, this guy that has a lot of class, and a lot of ideas about about his sense of himself, his sense of his name, his place in history, and the longevity of his memory. And so you have to look at this place. Are you in the middle of I don't know, parking lot, for God's sakes? Okay, it's not the Denver parking lot, because that's not Fenny enough. Are you in the woods? Is there a stream nearby? Is there some sense of archaeology and geology and all these things that are important to him? Could you find arrowheads there? Is it Fenny enough? And we always ask ourselves, and sometimes we do a search we build a solution based on Google Maps, and then we head out there and we discover pretty quickly, like, nah, there was nothing Fenny about this location. So it's one of the questions that we ask ourselves, and it's based on the fact that the other thing that it's based on is the fact that I've been out 28 times, and I know when I get there, I'm at the stage that I know when I get to a location. We made a trip to Lander, Wyoming, a 5-day trip to Lander, Wyoming, and there was a point at which I said to myself, this ain't Fenny enough. As much as it's a beautiful location, but it ain't Fenny enough. So it ain't. I just used the word ain't.
Gotta be pine trees.
Gotta be pine trees. Number 3, is your anticipated location of the treasure in the Rocky Mountains between 8.25 miles north of Santa Fe, New Mexico, and the New Mexico's border with Colorado? And this is one of those adjustments that I told you're going to have to make. If I was looking at another state, I would at least consider the possibility of that it's 8.25 miles north of Santa Fe, New Mexico, and the Canadian border, and in the Rocky Mountains and one of the 4 treasure states, okay? So this is one of those questions that you would have to modify based on your expectation, your anticipated, the anticipated location of Fenn's treasure that you have in mind. And so you'd have to make this adjustment. And again, this is because we believe it's in New Mexico. Number 4, is your anticipated the location of the treasure at an altitude greater than 5,000 feet and less than 10,200 feet? And that's pretty straightforward. We all know the numbers on that one.
And guess what?
What?
Thermopolis doesn't qualify.
Thermopolis is less than 5,000 feet.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Will the anticipate?
That was random.
No. Totally random. But
Totally random.
hey, you are Shelley Corn.
Well, we talked about it when we were in Lander.
Yeah, yeah.
What about Thermopolis?
So we head up to Thermopolis.
Doesn't make it.
Okay. Will the anticipated location of your solution be in a low trafficked area? And as Shelley says,
Is it in the middle of Disneyland?
Yeah.
No, it's not.
if you find yourself in an area where there's a lot of other people, now the expectation is that you may see some other people. You may see some fishermen, some other hikers. You may even see other searchers. But we've never been in a place like that. We've never been in a place where we thought we were running into other searchers. Occasionally, we'll see a fisherman walking by, but there's never been a situation we found ourselves in where we just saw a lot of people. Now, that doesn't mean there was a road nearby that got us to that point where people were driving by in a manner of going to wherever they were going. But it certainly wouldn't have been called a high trafficked area, and we don't expect that he would have started in a high trafficked area. He wanted
Privacy.
right?
Yeah.
Or as the British say, privacy.
Yeah. He didn't want to see, and he wouldn't want anybody to see him
Right.
hide that treasure
Right.
or follow him in.
Right.
Wonder what he was up to.
Or have someone ask him, meet up even worse. So what you got there, old guy?
Yeah. What are you pulling out of your trunk there?
Yeah.
No, we didn't want that.
So, is your anticipated location of the treasure on BLM, National Forest, or State Forest administered property? Now, you know that we both feel very strongly about this. You can modify it however we want. What we've left out of there is private land, tribal land, and National Park Service administered land. So we don't include those in our solution. But again, you can modify it to fit your solution. And the reason is we've had enough conversations amongst ourselves to accept the idea that he very likely didn't put it on land just because of the legal problems associated with it. He didn't put it on land associated with the administered by the National Park Service. And we talked about that in one of our previous shows because there's problems associated with flying drones in that area as well, and metal detecting. Can you provide a geographically precise location of the intersection of where warm waters halt the canyon down? I'm just going to paraphrase Fenn. If you don't know where to start, don't waste your time. Go play canasta, right? It's something like that. But yeah, exactly. If you can't point to a place, literally the geographic coordinates of a starting point, don't waste your time because you're going to spend, You've seen the YouTube videos where people go out and search, and I'm going to put that in quotes, air quotes, search, because they're not searching, they're wandering around an open space, and I think that's part of the problem associated with that is they don't have a specific location for warm water salt, therefore they don't have a starting point. If you don't have a starting point, you don't know where to go next. Canyon down, home of Brown, no place for the meek, etc., etc. You're just kind of wandering, hoping that the blaze jumps up and, smacks you in the face. It's not going to happen that way. And there are enough people, like I said, you've seen enough videos and heard enough stories to know there's a lot of walking around in open spaces. That's what's going to happen if you can't point to the precise location of where your warm water salt. And, oh, by the way, been there, done that.
Well, and you wouldn't expect somebody to give you directions somewhere by saying, oh, just go up to Yellowstone and wander around and you'll find me.
Yeah.
No. Not precise.
Or if I kidnapped your cat, can I kidnap your cat?
No, don't
Okay.
kidnap anybody else.
In the entire travel distance is the entire travel distance from the intersection of where warm waters halt and the canyon down to the anticipated location of treasure less than 3 miles. So that honestly is relatively arbitrary. We based it upon the story that Fenn tells about the day he hid the treasure. He walked back and forth a couple of times, etc., etc. He parked his car, walked back and forth, checked out the clues, and then drove home. And the reason is if you have so there's two things. Number one, if you remember how from your geometry class, calculate the area in miles of a space that's three miles in radius, and you're going to come up with a number. Then do the same thing, double the size, and do the same thing for a space that's 6 miles in radius. And what you're going to get is the equivalent of an area that's an order of magnitude larger than the 6 miles versus the 3 miles. And so when you're talking about search solutions that require drives of 30 miles, the likelihood of you finding that treasure by following a set of clues that make you drive 30 miles or 10 miles or 5 miles, I feel like we feel like you should drive to the starting point, and then from there it's a walk. That's under 3 miles. And my perception as I do this longer, it's under 1 mile. So you just have to consider what you're doing to yourself. I recently posted just an image to our blog, and basically I measured the volume of the search area from Santa Fe to the Canadian border along a line of about 225 miles, which is the average distance. So it was 1,032 miles times 225 miles times the distance between 5,000 and 10,200 feet, which interestingly enough is 80 feet short of a mile. So you multiply that 10,032 miles by 225 miles by 1 mile, and you end up with a number that you can calculate in feet. Here's that number. The number of cubic feet in the search area is 18 quadrillion. 18 quadrillion. Quadrillion, trillion, billion, million, thousands, tens, right? 18 quadrillion cubic feet. The size of the treasure chest in cubic feet is 0.35. That is a really big problem to solve. Okay, and so the more time you spend reducing the volume of your search area by not making it 20 miles or 30 miles or even 5 miles, the more you spend reducing the volume of the search area, the more you increase your odds of actually finding that treasure. Number 9, can you leave Santa Fe? And again, this is based on our perception that the treasure was hidden in New Mexico. At some point, you're going to have to do this for your Cody solution or your Denver solution, whatever you believe his starting point is, and whether you feel like he drove or used a car or used a combination thereof. We use Santa Fe. Can you leave Santa Fe and drive to your anticipated drive, not fly, not ATV, not motorcycle? Can you leave Santa
Helicopter?
Fe? No helicopters.
Helicopter.
No, nothing that involves
Draw a little
getting
too
in the
much
air.
attention, would you?
Can you leave Santa Fe and drive to your anticipated starting point in other than a specialized off-road vehicle, because he didn't have one, he claims he did it all in a sedan, and return to Santa Fe in less than 12 hours? Now, the 12 hours could be slightly arbitrary, but I'm thinking of it in terms of a 12-hour day in which you drive for 2 to 3 hours, you hide stuff for 3 to 4 hours, and then you have to drive back for 2 to 3 hours. You've got a long day, and it's a long day for an 80-year-old. It's a long day for anyone, much less an 80-year-old individual, whether they are in good shape or not. And then lastly, we ask ourselves, are the logistics of this solution possible for the team? And what we mean by that is, if we're going to scout this solution, can we afford it? Can we afford the time? Kevin has to get off work. We have to make arrangements with our clients. Do we have the money? There's always money involved, if nothing else, just to pay for gas. Sometimes it's for food and for hotels and et cetera. We're too old. Well, we're not too old to camp, but we're old enough to be in a hotel at night. So
My idea of roughing it is the Holiday Inn.
yeah, exactly. So you have to consider whether or not the logistics to implement a scout or a recon of this solution is possible, and that takes time and money. As usual, anytime you're making an investment, it's going to be time and money, manpower and money. So that's one of the last things that we consider. And so if it isn't available to us now, so we know we have a solution that isn't available to us right now in terms of the investment we have to make in time and money. But we do know we can afford a scout. So we're going to spend a day scouting the solution. We're not going to make a commitment to finding it. We never do because, as we say,
We don't know where it is.
we don't know where it is. But it's an investment in a day's worth of scouting. And then based on that, we can figure out whether or not we want to make the investment, the bigger investment in a recon, and then we save up like everybody does. So that's kind of where we are with this. Those are the 10 questions that we ask. Now, when I announced this on our AGK lineup this week, I was contacted by another searcher who has developed what I would call a more comprehensive list. I think it's close to 50 questions. And I've only recently started communicating with him. We've exchanged a couple of emails. I've seen the PDF version of the list. The individual insists, not insists, but suggests that it's available online. Now, I haven't seen it online. I've seen the questions that are asked, and many of them, as a matter of fact, all of them coincide pretty much with our 10 questions. It's just a bigger list. And it seemed pretty well thought out and rational to me. I haven't decided exactly what to do with that, but eventually what I'd like to do is convince the individual to come on one of our programs, one of our panels, talk about their list, and then make it available to the search community, which I think is a really good idea. But we're only at the beginning of that conversation, so we'll have more for you maybe next week about what we're going to do with that. Okay? Want to look at some pictures?
Pictures.
Okay. So tell them what we did here. While I set us up here.
What we did here. Didn't we?
No, not the picture. How we ended up in this situation with pictures.
Well, people went out, our subscribers went out, and they did their boots on the ground recons of their own, and they took pictures, and they offered to send them to us to share with the whole community. So here we are.
Okay, here comes the transition. Nice transition.
Is that something on top? Is that a bird on top of a deer? What is going on there?
No, that's a white-tailed. So that is a white-tailed deer, a white-tailed doe in her winter coat, and that's another one right there, kind of bent over.
Oh, that's its butt.
Yeah.
Okay.
Sorry.
And that picture comes to us from Eric Schmidt.
Right. And Eric said that this was a photograph that was 8.2, using a bit of humor, as Eric does, 8.25 miles north of Lander, Wyoming, which is very possible because once you get out of the Sinks Canyon, what are they, the Wind River Mountains, it gets pretty flat pretty quick, and you see a lot of this kind of property. There's a lot of the Wind River reservations, that area, so you see a lot of that as well. So the next couple of photos come to us from our friend and very knowledgeable searcher, Eric Schmidt, and these are in the Lander, Wyoming area. So what does this remind you of? Do you remember that kind of shot? No?
Kind of shot.
Yeah, I mean, do you remember where that was located?
The little Poposia.
Yeah. So I don't know, and Eric will have to tell us if this is actually true, but this looks like the Little Poposia River as it flows out of the Wind River Mountains and into the flatlands. And I remember crossing a stream like this in this kind of environmental zone as we were leaving Lander, south of Lander on 28, and then we picked up 287 to head down. So this to me reminds me of that area around the Little Poposia, but this is off the road, and on, I believe, the area that we looked at, and I took a very similar picture, was private property. At that point, it becomes farming and ranching property that's south of Lander. But it was it was not, it was a part of Wyoming that fits into that Western Seaway basin from antiquity, from geologic history. And so it gets really pretty flat pretty quick with these low hills. You're not in the Wind River Mountains at that point, but you're south of Lander, and that's what it reminded me of. By the way, if you go to our blog at gypsykiss.com and go to the tab called Photos, you can look at our albums, and we have 5 pages worth of our trip to Lander in there. So you can see a lot more of Lander.
Will these pictures be there too?
I think what we're going to do, what I figured we'd do, is we'd start building a separate photo album of photographs from our viewers.
But
So-
they'll be on the blog.
They will be on the blog as a photo album. We'll find them on there.
Okay.
So this again is in near Lander, Wyoming, and again, this is not. I don't think this is in the Wind River Range. It looks too flat for me, but it's where the antelope roam, and that's a pretty good-looking pronghorn there. That would make a good trophy head right there. I shouldn't say
Aw.
that.
Little fuzzy butt.
Yeah, these are all. They look like they're coming in. This is like a spring shot. They're all coming out of their winter coats. They haven't shed completely. So. Eric, we can't see our chat right now. Is Eric in the chat room? Yeah, there he is. So, Eric, if you want to add some information about some of these photos that we're showing, please do in the chat. Then let's go on to Jared Templeton, and Jared sent us some of his photos from the Kerwin, Wyoming area. And the first one that he sent us is a photograph he took of the materials that were going to be used to build the female aviator.
Amelia Earhart.
Amelia Earhart's cabin. And I can't remember how that comes up. It comes up in I think, Too Far to Walk, or is it Once Upon a While? Fenn mentioned it. But Jared actually took a photograph of the materials that were left behind to build a cabin outside of Kerwin, Wyoming. This is also a shot. He didn't say which river this was. This to me looks like a late summer, maybe early fall image. The snow is off the peaks and the stream is very low, like post runoff low. You can see the banks on the various sides. I don't know. Can you see my right there? So that tells me that we're late summer or fall rather than early spring, early to late spring, early summer. So that's a really beautiful picture. And again, that's
The
around
trees aren't very green though.
Kerwin, Wyoming. And then the last one from Kerwin, Wyoming. This looks like a mining operation near the trail. I can't imagine what else you would do up at that altitude with that kind of equipment. So I'm assuming that it's a mining operation. If anybody, there's that mountain again in the background. So I want to go back. So there is that mountain. If anybody recognizes those two mountains, maybe they can tell us if Jared is in the room where those are located, because it shows up again right here in this picture. So, and then these are pictures that Steve Gahagan sent us of the Valles Caldera. That's here in New Mexico, and it is a national preserve. It is administered by the National Park Service. It's a beautiful area, and what you're looking at was once a massive volcanic crater, a volcano, and that's why they call it the caldera. It's a beautiful area to camp and fish. The fishing is supposedly really good. I've never been on there for fishing, and the reason is they have a lottery every year. You have to draw a lottery ticket in order to get onto the property to go fishing, and I think you just get one day at a time. So it's a fishing trip that once you apply for the lottery, you start your plan in the hopes that you're going to get that you're going to win one of the fishing lottery tickets for the Valles Caldera. So beautiful area. Very popular in New Mexico. I know this isn't a scenic image, but Steve did what we do whenever we go out on a recon. We take pictures of all the signs, all the information, because even though we can't read them now, there might be something that is important about them later. So one of the things I'll recommend is that when you do go out and you do take pictures of the area and your searches and what you think the blaze is, in addition to that, take pictures of the signs, because you're not going to remember them when you get home. I know it's kind of mundane. It's not the kind of thing that when you show your slideshow or share with friends, you're not going to share the signs with them necessarily. But make sure that you take them as part of the information you're collecting in your research for that recon. So I thought that was a smart thing to do. Here's another view to the other side. This looks like the western side of the caldera, looking towards the west from the south of the caldera. And this looks like either probably late summer, early autumn kind of thing. No snow yet.
I don't know. Could be early winter.
So as you can see, it's just a massive space.
Because it's not that high up north.
Yeah. So it's actually, the area is in the Jemez Mountains for us, and it's actually from where we're located, one of the shorter drives to get up into the mountains. But at the same time, since it's close to Albuquerque, it is heavily trafficked. It is very populated. It's hard. There's two streams that you can fish up there. One is the Jemez, and the other is the San Antonio or Antonito. And both of them are just too pressured to do any reasonable fishing. But if I want to get away from it all, it's the fastest way to get away from it all, from Albuquerque. And again, signs, you can see the sign. I don't know whether
No
they did this for
drones.
me. No drones, National Preserve. So no drones, because you might bother the bears and don't approach them. So these are all the warning signs that they give you when you're going up there. So if you are camping, there are camping areas on the preserve, but they're very specific, and you have to stay on them. You can't. There is no open camping on the national.
And they
preserve.
do fill up quickly, so
Yeah.
gotta
Yeah.
make reservations.
Again, it's the closest national park. Well, no, that's not
a
true.
lot of families there all summer long.
Yeah.
And it's great hiking, and I know Cynthia's been there many times.
Yeah.
She knows her way around pretty well.
Well, from Rio Rancho, it's even a half hour closer than where I am in Albuquerque. So these are some photographs that were sent to
And
us
Black
by
Hills.
Susan Heckenliable. She didn't say where she was coming from, but she just started a YouTube channel under the name of R.F. Hecky. And,
Minnesota, right?
And she's, pardon me?
Isn't she in Minnesota?
I don't know. I don't know why she'd go to South Dakota. If
Because she would drive across South Dakota from Minnesota to get to Montana.
Well, her accent sounded Canadian to me, so she must be someplace
but
up
they all
north.
kind of talk like that
Yeah.
up there.
So anyway, I added her to our search tubers, and she puts out these short videos, but I can't think of maybe this isn't very respectful, but the cutest video that I've ever seen made about the search, she made when she got back from she doesn't call it boots on the ground, she calls it eyes on the ground. And basically she's going through the catharsis of, I went up there expecting to find the treasure, and I didn't, and it rained, and it was just, my heart went out to her when I heard the video, because it was just cute. And she was all the image was a box of Kleenex, and it would look like
wine.
a glass of, it wasn't wine, it was like a spritzer because it had ice in it.
Well, just because she put ice in her wine doesn't mean it's not wine.
So anyway, you got to go see that video. It's just really cute. So, and my heart went out to her. Hold on.
Black Hills is a beautiful drive. If you guys haven't been up to South Dakota, I have family up in Sioux Falls, and I used to have family up in Rapid City, and so we've been up there a few times. Beautiful drive, very, very different. Really great place to go check out, because it is so different from anything you'll see anywhere else. And of course, once you get up to Rapid City, you have the Mount Rushmore, and beautiful drive up there. Just a really gorgeous area, and Sturgis, of course. That's where I got my ring, my Black Hills Gold. It's from there. So I'm a South Dakota born girl, so I had to purchase a few items while we were there.
So when did you leave South Dakota for Arizona?
I was only like maybe a year old. My
Oh.
family moved to Arizona for work, get work, construction. My dad was in construction, so we moved down to Arizona for that.
Okay, this is a picture of a bell, a brass bell, that she hung in one of the trees that she was nearby on behalf of her recently passed dog.
Oh.
And dang nabbit, I can't remember the name. I promised myself I was going to remember the name. So, Susan, in the chat room, tell us the name of your dog that you hung this bell for. And I think it's really neat because it's in one of those pine trees. So, whenever the wind blows, the pine tree is going to move and that bell is going to ring. So, I thought that was a very smart thing to do. And this is a view of a mountain view. She didn't say way. I think this is, if I recall correctly, she was headed to Montana to look for the treasure. And so I'm assuming that these are mountains in Montana as opposed, that doesn't look like South Dakota to me. Right? More Montana than South Dakota. You don't remember. You were 5.
I was at 5. I've been there, but the Mount Rushmore area is very mountainous.
Oh, it is. So it could very well be.
Yeah. And then there's Custer State Park, and
She called this, Susan calls this a perfect rock to rest on. So it looks like a perfect place to hide a treasure, doesn't it? But there's lots of nooks and crannies in there.
mm-hmm.
So all you needed at that point was a good looking blaze. And then Pine in the Rocks, again, it looks like a really good place. And, part of the struggle, as I described, that 18 quadrillion cubic feet, part of that 18 quadrillion cubic feet is scenes like this, where you have a pile of geologically placed big stones with all kinds of nooks and crannies in which to hide them, including, and I've been in areas like this, you will find places in those rocks where you could hide yourself if you needed to for the night. It's really pretty amazing. So I think that's part of the problem with all of this. That is a pit mine in Montana, and it struck me that this wasn't. This was the less scenic of some of the areas that you saw, and although I can't say she was discouraged by it, but she was actually, I think, making
clouds
a
are
point.
very low there, aren't they?
Yeah, they are. And then this is Susan Heckenlabel's selfie as she's driving. So I hope she's parked and not driving, taking pictures. As you can see, she's searcher ready. She just threw everything in the car and took off. I'm going to go to get, I know where this treasure is. I'm going to go get it.
Yep.
And then this is one of the shots somewhere in South Dakota. I think it's obvious that it just rained or is raining, but with a blue sky, which is very common out there in the mid area of the country. You never know where the rain is going to come from. And then another picture of another strip mine. This isn't a pit mine. This is a strip mine. And Montana tends to be very open to business, and mining is a big business in Montana. Sooner or later, the laws require that they reclaim that once they're finished with their strip mining. So someday it'll go back to looking normal, like a normal mountain in the hills. And this is the view from what she imagined Forrest Fenn would place this treasure. So it has some of the features that Forrest talks about. She calls it her Forrest Fenn spot. So, and I think I have a bunch of those, none of which includes a picture of a treasure. And then more weathered stones, but again, the idea that you could spend all day scrambling around these rocks and looking for the nooks and crannies where you might be able to find a treasure. Okay, so that is it in terms of pictures. I'm going to transition back.
I want to just thank everybody who sent those in for us to share with everybody in the community. Those of us who don't live up in the northern part of the United States enjoy seeing what it looks like. And I know those people who can't get out for boots on the ground really enjoy seeing what other searchers are seeing.
So if you have photos from a recon, a recent scouting trip or a recon that you'd like to share with the community, send them to a Gypsy's Kiss, and make sure you give me enough information about where the pictures are from, and any information you'd like to share about what you were doing, and we'll make sure that we reserve a little part of each of our Tuesday shows for showing these photos. And in addition to that, as Shelley suggested, I'll start developing an album. I'll put these into an album up on gypsyskiss.com. So, and then the last thing, did I mention? Did we mention that you can find this list on a Gypsy's Kiss?
Yes, we talked about
So
that.
yeah, so you can find the list that we talked about today.
gypsyskiss.com. That's
So
the blog.
I need to make another transition here. So
It's
what are we
magic
going
time.
to chat?
Chat time.
Hang on. Hold on. Do I need to?
Hold on.
Hold on.
The deer are coming again.
Oh, here we go. Okay. So that's we're gonna make that transition there, and then we're gonna go back to.
See, this is why the director of the TV show usually sits in a booth.
Right.
Because he talks to himself about what he's doing.
It's true. It really is.
I'm going to do this, and then I'm going to do that.
you're
Because he
behind
doesn't
it.
have a TD to direct,
Yeah.
a technical director.
Okay, so we're going to go into chat mode here so that Shelley can take your chat. But before you do that, please keep in mind that we appreciate contributions via Super Chat. Super Chat can be found at the bottom of the chat window. You'll see a $sign there. You can click on the $sign and make a donation and hopefully ask a question. That doesn't mean we're not going to answer anybody else's questions. We're going to answer all the questions that we can on the day. But if you'd like to see yours highlighted at the top of the window, indicating how much you've given, please use the Super Chat.
And
That
if you
helps us.
want to ask a question, just start your question with @AGK so that we don't miss it.
Yeah. So because we're looking at a chat window, and so a lot of times we don't see everything.
Yeah, sometimes we're skipping around because you guys are talking to each other,
Yeah.
and we're just like, okay, that's great. That's not about us, so we're going to move to the next thing.
So I'm going to transition over to the full screen and set up the outro. Then we're going to go to the chat window.
And here we go. Let's get started with our chat.
Hang on, let me get you back to the top here.
Back to the top of the top.
Okay.
Hello, everybody. From William Ortiz. Hi, Tampa. All right. JL, Cindy Guess, Brian Eagle. Brian Eagle, it's good to have you back.
Hey, Brian, how are you doing?
Eric Schmidt. Are we having
Ooh.
an echo? Uh-oh. Are we still having an echo? Saffron from Kansas. High Plains Drifter.
Wait,
from-
you know what? It popped up. Hold on. I didn't
No,
do
it's
that.
not. It's fine.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Sorry.
And now, let's see where I was. Okay. Eric Schmidt. John O. Jones from England. Tammy Mattis is here. David Dow from Everett, Washington. Beard Black from Buzzard's Breath, New Mexico. Brent Zunker, that's a new name,
New name.
from Austin, Texas.
We love Austin.
Joe Sheeran from Michigan. JL from Bismarck, North Dakota. We were just seeing pictures of South Dakota. Etherman, hello. Charlie
Fuchs.
Fuchs from St. Louis. Dave Erickson, Robert Walker, JC, said Saffron for Kansas, High Plains Drifter from north of Santa Fe. Sir Crow, hello from southern Indiana. Jason's here. Hello, Jason.
Jason Michael.
Eric says, never mind.
Never mind.
Jeremy Branson from Idaho.
Inkhorn.
Inkhorn.
Inkhorn. Oh, I've
Inkhorn.
never heard of it.
I haven't either. Michael Elder from Grand Junction, Colorado.
Pretty city.
Pretty much anything in Colorado is
Yeah, true.
beautiful. Deborah Jensen from Nolens.
Nolens. Hi, y'all.
B Cross, that's Bill from Texas.
Hey, Bill.
Jackie Naden from the UK. Hello. Or cheers.
By the way, I don't know how you guys felt about it, but those of us on this side of the pond thought that wedding was just beautiful, and that Prince Harry and his new bride acquitted themselves really, really well. We like the idea that there is a marriage between you all and us'ns.
And I'm sure they were fine with it until you said that. Wow. Okay.
We're the other side of
Sean
the family.
N.M. from the flip side is here.
Sean, we'll see you tomorrow night on our panel program.
Poemtreasure.com. That's different. Hello. Good to see you. Thanks for joining us. Eric Garrison. Keep up your good work, Toby and Shelley from the Endless Mountains region of Northeast
Pennsylvania.
Pennsylvania? Northern Tier. All right. Debbie Teal from Tulsa.
Is that a new name? I haven't
think
seen her
so.
before. Hi, Debbie.
J-Rob
Jeanette.
from Colorado.
Mm-hmm.
Denise Bagley, hello. Sea Monkifications here from Denver.
Denise always gives us a flower.
Yeah, that's nice. William Ortiz says, I didn't agree with number 6, I believe, but what is your actual take on it?
So we'd have to go back to number 6. So you're going to have to type it out, and it's okay for you not to agree with any of them. These are ours. We expect that you develop your own.
Mm-hmm.
It's okay to, we don't expect agreement.
Mm-hmm. Steve Smitherman's is here. Hello. JT from Texas. Charlie Fuchs wanted to know, is that a Venn diagram or a Fenn diagram?
Ooh, good. Tricky play on words there, Charlie.
A little punster. Jason says, well played, sir.
Well played.
Goldilocks,
From
hello
Boston.
from Boston. Gary Sandberg from sunny Seattle. And RF Hecky. Susan is here from Minnesota. I
Oh,
told you it was
Minnesota.
Minnesota.
Okay, all right. That's where the accent.
Minnesota.
So, Susan, make sure. Oh, actually, that's the name of her YouTube channel, RF Hecky. Her name is Susan Eckenleibel. But go watch it and watch that video. Just is adorable. It had me in tears. I was laughing so hard. It was just so cute and so vulnerable. I don't know how else to describe it. It was just fun to watch.
Mm-hmm. All the way up.
Okay, to William Ortiz.
Oh, look at that. Got a super chat.
Oh, thank you.
Take a look at that from Robert Walker.
Thank you both and all who join in the community for the wealth of experience and information that you're willing to share with those of us who just learned about the chase. Welcome aboard, Robert.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you very
Appreciate
much
that.
for your contribution. We really appreciate it. Make sure that if you have a question, that you get it asked before we leave on the day.
David Chartrand, hello from Scottsdale, Arizona. David, I was raised in Tempe, Arizona, so good to have you here today. Amy Smith from Mississippi.
So, hi, Amy. I hope you got my response to your email, and you might. I'm not going to talk about it because you didn't say that I could. But why don't you tell people what you're planning to do, and share with them your plans if you care to do that.
Jan Kerb is also from Scottsdale. Amy Smith, I'm the youngest and a girl and always have been more independent and blazed my own trails throughout life since I was 14 years old. Don't know where it came from, but I've never been scared to try things. I guess she's sticking up for the youngest instead of the oldest.
Oh, I see.
You were talking about blazing trails as the oldest.
Yeah. No, our youngest is pretty adventurous herself.
Yes, she is. Paul Ammons is here from Texas.
David Chartrand?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that's for somebody else.
Black Zero, Burn.
new
Hello
name.
from Independence, Missouri. That's the Show Me State, yeah?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That's where I went to basic training.
Yeah, Black Zero. That's a new one.
Fort Leonard Wood, Missouri. In December. Man, it was cold.
Forrest said himself that you probably wouldn't know it was special to him, says JC. I think that's true. I think we have to go by what he did tell us, though, that if he was standing where the treasure was, he could see pine trees. And I'm not ever going to let that go. If there's not pine trees around it, it's not right. Green Hiker from North Carolina. Edward Owen from Boise, Idaho. 11 Bravo 2P Treasure Finder. AGK, hello. Toby and Shelley, last chance to go with me, Toby. Where's he going? Parachuting?
Yeah.
He's going to parachute into place?
Yeah, if you're going with somebody, go with an 11 Bravo. That's infantry, Army infantry, 11 Bravo.
Rich Ard. Why do you feel it's less than 3 miles from where warm waters halt?
Rich, I'm going to raise the screen and then answer your question. So the answer is, logically speaking, the shorter distance dictates it. After 28 recons, I realized, I was made very much aware that when you're talking these massive distances out there in an area where you're looking for a box that's 1/3 of a cubic foot in size, that if you don't reduce the size of your search area to a reasonable, and I'm not going to use the word logical, because that's what logic is very different for almost everyone. Logically, anybody could make a case for a 10-mile radius search area, but at some point you have to look at it from a rational perspective, and that is, if you're looking for an object that's 1/3 of a cubic foot in size, if you don't continue to reduce what you imagine the search area to be, you're going to spend your time wandering around the forest. It's just a lot of territory. And so 3 miles was based on how Fenn has told the story, how he went to a place and how he walked and how he spent an afternoon doing it. So we've reduced it based on our perception of Fenn's thinking. And that could be, and again, it's ours. You don't have to agree with it. You don't have to use it. But what you're going to find, if you spent any time boots on the ground, especially if you spent, 28 boots on the ground, your search area is going to logically reduce. It's just the nature of how you think of it. Because if you're, like I said, if your canyon down is a 22-mile drive, as one of mine was, your search area just went voluminous. Maybe not 18 quadrillion, but certainly in the millions of cubic feet.
All right. Eric Schmidt, he essentially tells you the special place, I believe, in the poem. Okay. Leaky Stick. Why do you think Forrest did not use a plane to get to his hidey spot?
Leaky, we don't know that he didn't. As a matter of fact, we pursued that strategy when we went to Lander. That was our guess. Now, the challenge is, if you believed he used a plane, you have to believe that he did it on his own. Otherwise, he'd leave a paper trail, and B, another person who knows the general location of the treasure. So, and he hasn't flown a plane as a private pilot since 2002. Two things happened in 2002. He sold his aircraft, and he gave up renewing his medical for his pilot's license. Since then, he has traveled by aircraft in which Shiloh has flown. For example, they tell a story in Once Upon a While of them flying to Suzanne Summers' house in California, and Shiloh did the flying, and Fenn went as a passenger. But again, if he did that, he's creating not only a paper trail, but now the one person can keep a secret if two people can keep a secret if one of them is dead. So that's why we've eliminated the airplane travel. As a matter of fact, there's a YouTube video that we did. I can't remember the name of it, but we did a YouTube video that eliminated air travel of any kind, whether it was commercial or private, or he did it on his own. The paper trail was just too deep. You'd leave a paper trail behind.
Yep. Even if you didn't file a flight plan, you still have to buy gas. You still have to do certain things that other people are going to know that you went on that day.
Mm-hmm. And Eric, you're right, because we do think it's in New Mexico, but one of the reasons we think of it being in New Mexico is because the plane trip doesn't make sense for us.
And Axarbin is here from Nebraska.
Hey, Axarbin.
Susan says she just spent about $1,100 to go for 6 nights.
Traveling from Minnesota, is that right, Susan? So, yeah, there's a good example. I mean, that's about an average of $200 a day in travel expenses, and that's what we were talking about in terms of that number 10. Are the logistics available to, can you afford the logistics of this particular scout or this particular recon? Because especially when you're traveling with 3 or 4, it can get really expensive really quick. But if you're just one, gas, lodging, food, etc., it can get pretty expensive pretty quick.
Jason Hilgerson is here. Hello. And Aksarbin says, I just got back from Wyoming and it was a bust. Weather was raining each day we were there. Guess better luck next time.
We hope so.
JT says, number 9. So you have ruled out the possibility the treasure was hidden before 2009, 2010, and that he didn't fly.
So that's a 2-part question. We have not ruled out that the treasure was hidden before 2009, but we have ruled out that he didn't fly.
Yeah.
Oh, Xarbin, make sure, well, even if they're rainy mountain pictures, send us some pictures so we can share them with the folks next week.
Oh, he says he's working on a video of it.
Oh, okay, great.
About it.
So it's funny, we have to go quiet as we're going down this list of questions.
They're all talking to each other.
Oh, okay.
So, moving up. And Eric Schmidt said he was looking for arrowheads, but didn't have any luck.
Eric, you and me both. I swear, ever since I started this treasure hunt, and I, read more than once about Fenn's propensity for finding these things, I literally force myself, if you will, to make sure that I'm looking at the ground for these kinds of things. I have yet, I think I found something the last time we were out on a scouting trip, but for all the time that I've spent in the field, I have yet to ever find anything of value, much less an arrowhead.
Aksarbin says that was Wood River in the Curran area.
Okay, thank you. Jason's helping us with Amelia Earhart.
Joel Lewicki, hello from Minnesota, heading out for a Crocs on the ground this weekend. Well, I think Joel and Susan Huckenleibel should get together and
Yeah,
and plan things.
they're both from Minnesota.
Yeah, of course it's a big state. You may not be anywhere near each other. Paul says hello. Good to see you.
Oh, Eric says
Paul.
Kerwin was a mining town, so it's very likely that was mining equipment that we saw in the image.
And it's Dundee Mountain.
Ah, okay.
Wow, we just Aksarbin really knows his Wyoming
This is Wyoming. Well, we just got back from there, huh?
Wyoming geography.
Wait, could we go back? Somebody said... Oh, sea monkification. I'm going to suggest that anything based on what we've seen here in New Mexico, because and we had a moderate winter at best. No, we had a nothing winter. Colorado had a better winter, but the rivers are flowing high at this time. They don't. There's nothing that you could call a river that's going to be safely crossable until July or August. I mean, that's part of this whole thing that you have to be careful of.
Well, Susan says she's ready to give away her solve completely because she just can't afford to go back anytime soon. Well, like I said, maybe you should get together with Joel Lewicki and discuss
Let's see
that.
if there's something there.
Yeah. And since he's a lawyer, he can figure all that out for you.
Joe Lewicki, I got the package. Thank you. They're very unique and well made. Thanks, Joe. We're glad you enjoyed them.
Oh, good. And what did he get?
I think he got one of the laser things, right? He got some
think so.
ornaments and one of the laser things, but I don't remember which one.
Okay. We give away so many different things. It's hard to remember.
We're so philanthropic.
It's true. It's true. All these treasures.
Okay, they're not talking to us. We just thought I'd just go get a cup of coffee while they're having a conversation here.
Anyone know an RV place that rents in Bozeman?
Bozeman, Montana.
Cruise America.
Can't find an RV for August. Oh.
Another good reason to go to New Mexico.
Yeah.
Not as much competition for RVs and places to stay. Here's Jan Kerb. Did Toby's checklist email guy call himself the Wolf?
No, he didn't. He sent me an email, and that wasn't the name on the email, nor is it the name that he uses for YouTube. So, no, it is not. Let's see. Amazing. Beard Black. Sarban.
We had a request for more cowbell from Beard Black.
More cowbell.
So there you are.
Joel, oh, got a fever. Joel's got a fever.
Treasure fever. I don't know.
Oh, it sounds like it sounds like the beginning of a song.
No, it's because he's got a fever for more cowbell.
Oh, okay. Deb JB had to go off to work. Okay, scrolling up to Edward Owen. See it? Cowbell?
What? Where?
No, that's not me.
Steve says, hi, you two.
Okay, so I got a fever right there.
The strip mines are in Butte. We became sightseers once the rain ruined everything.
Oh, it sounds like you were out there about the same time Exarban was, because he had rain too.
David Chartrand, you guys still keen on the Chama River area? Keen?
No, for lack of a better way to describe it, I couldn't make our
And Jason says, it's not technically the Rockies.
Right. Not technically the Rockies. It just doesn't. If I apply the 10 questions that I gave you today, it's not going to work.
Edward Owen, what is your opinion on heavy loads and water high?
Wow, that's a good one. We believe that the water high is a reference to a waterfall, and that the heavy loads. Oh, interesting. So, so I can't share my opinion on that matter with you because it is unique to our solution. So.
It changes every time we go out.
Yeah, but our current solution has that.
Yeah.
So
the last time we thought it was power lines and then I don't know. We've looked at everything and we try to make it fit, and that's the problem.
Right.
So your guess is as good as ours.
That's where we're at, honestly. Like we say, we don't know where it is.
And Jim White is here from Ohio.
from
Jimmy Fast suggests heavy loads and water high might be a receding glacier leaving behind its load of boulders.
Very nice.
Lily must be the name of the.
Oh,
her dog.
Lily, is that
I got some more foreign money there.
Kroners?
50 kroners from Mark Harrell. I was right.
And he says,
cheers, skull. Or is it skull? How do you say it?
Of course it's skull. It's got ice in it. It's an old TV joke from someplace. Thank you, Mark Harrell.
Very old
We
joke.
appreciate it.
Yes, thank you.
That's very kind. Make sure you're going to ask a question before you leave today.
If you can think of one.
Let's see.
Jono Jones, you show my 60-year-old map of Yellowstone?
Oh, gosh. You know what? Jono, I'm sorry. I was going through the list of emails last night, and I stopped at a certain point that I thought I had gotten all the pictures. I apologize for that. I promise that I will show it next week. It's too good not to show. So I promise you I'll do it next week. I apologize for that. That's my fault.
Eric Schmidt says, Shelley, your voice would be good for a mindfulness meditation tape.
We
Well-
just had somebody suggest that we start, not we, because gravelly voice here is not good. Meditation. We just had someone recommend that we make one of those of hers, one of those YouTube video with her going.
Well,
And
now that
then-
I'm doing life coaching, that is one of the things I will be offering to my clients.
By the way,
so
Tell them your
keep
good
that in
news.
mind. Oh, I finished my certification, all the work that I need to do for that. I'm just waiting for it to come in the mail. And I'm launching my business. And I will be going live on my YouTube channel on June 7th, immediately following our book club. So look for that and follow me over there. And Toby is going to be my Shelley. So that'll be fun. So we'll have a great little presentation and a little conversation. And then I hope that you all will join us in the live chat starting June 7th, right after book club.
So Shelley asked me to do this, that she wanted to produce her show kind of the way that we do Gypsy's Kiss. And it would be interesting because it puts me in the position of, I don't want to say being
Smiling and
supportive,
nodding.
smiling and nodding at her expertise. And how could I say no, you know? I just thought it would be a lot of fun. So what we're doing is we're scheduling it for Thursdays. Is that right? And it's going to be later in the afternoon. So we're going to do our book club, Gypsy's Kiss book club, in the afternoon at 1, and then at
Probably 2:30. I mean, we'll
You-
just bring on everybody on over because y'all are sitting there talking to each other anyway. Might as well come over and talk with us on another channel.
yeah. So the softers will go directly over the softer side, and I'll handle production, technical direction, and Shelley would do the talking. So
Yeah.
for all of you who are always complaining that Shelley doesn't talk enough, make sure you go over and subscribe to her channel because we're going to start doing the same live stream now that she's certified. And, oh, by the way, one of the things that we are grateful for, and I want to say thank you for, is those of you who contributed when we first brought this up way back. Was it November?
February.
February? When we asked you to contribute to her buying this, purchasing this certification program. And so that paid off. She completed, she received, she studied, she worked hard. I know she spent a lot of time on it and completed the certification program. So that was you guys. You did that. So thank you very much. We
Yes, thank you.
truly appreciate that.
And back to the chat. Ramblin' Pam is here. Hi, Ramblin' Pam.
Hi, Ramblin'. How are you doing? I think she's traveling this week. She couldn't make the
She
panel.
was attending a
she's
graduation.
going to a graduation.
Yeah.
That's right.
Southbound train from Alabama. Dave Calvi. Hi. Rapala 67 from Michigan.
Do you know what Rapala is? They manufacture fishing lures. Really good fishing lures. I have a bunch.
And I would, that's why I wouldn't know, but you
Yeah.
would. Let's see.
Another one from Tempe.
Where?
Right.
Oh.
Little t-
Cirqualdum. Cirquatum? Cirquatum.
Cirquatum.
it an I or a E? Yeah, cirquatum. From Tempe. Very nice.
Dave Calvi's at the In-N-Out Burger.
Steve Hyatt
down
is
the
here
lunch.
from Ohio. From
Dave must be
In-N-Out.
he's in California. Is that what
Eric
it is?
Schmidt says, if you think it's only 3 miles, then why does Forrest essentially tell us too far to walk is 10 miles?
Oh, Eric, that's a whole new conversation. Okay, so first of all, he describes in the book, we always know that he embellishes, right? Secondly, if you actually measure the distance that he traveled from the point that we believe he got into the river to the point that he exited from the river, it's not even close to 10 miles. It's closer to 6.8 miles. And as a matter of fact, in some ways, you could measure it at 4 miles. So it's not 10. Believe you me, I made the same kind of assumption. And the too far to walk, we believe, doesn't refer to distance. And that's all I'm going to say about that. Because it's not too far to walk.
Okay, Jim White says, I have heard a few people talking about how they were affected by the altitude when hiking. Have you noticed a difference when you are at higher altitudes with boots on the ground? Well, Toby's a good one to ask because he used to climb those 14ers when he lived in Colorado.
Oh, wow, you just gave me a good idea for the trivia question. Thank you. So, first of all, we live in Albuquerque, New Mexico, which is at about 5,000 feet. So we have the benefit of having some level of acclimatization. Secondly, we're both very active. The three of us are very active. So under 10,000 feet, if you're running, you're going to notice it. But under 10,000 feet, if you started at 5,000 feet like we do, you're going to be fine, unless you do something that an 80-year-old man couldn't do. And again, kind of the 80-year-old man rule applies. If he's coming from Santa Fe, he's lived at 7,000 feet. So that's pretty good acclimatization. If you're going up to under 10,200 feet, you're going to be fine, unless, like I said, you're running with your 22-pound load. Where it's going to be difficult is when you're coming from much lower levels of altitude. If you're coming from, New Orleans, and you're in some cases in New Orleans below sea level. But if you're coming from around sea level and going to 10,000 feet, you are going to feel it. And as a matter of fact, there are some of the hotels in Santa Fe, which is at 70, I think it's 79.99, 7,900. We're just about 8,000 feet in Santa Fe. They actually have in the gift baskets that you enter the hotel room, one of the things that you're going to find is these portable oxygen canisters that you put over your face and give yourself a little spritz. If you're coming from, the flatlands and into an area of from 8 to 10,000 feet, you are going to feel the difference. You are going to be short of breath. Now, unless you're completely out of shape, it shouldn't be a problem. Most people, if you're basically hiking in the area, it'll make for a better night's sleep, and you can always correct it if you start getting a headache by just stop moving and drinking some water. But we don't, generally speaking, I would say even at my age, at the advanced age of 69, I don't seem to have a problem with it.
It's kind of it's where you're from. When I lived in Tempe, and the first time that my husband and I decided we wanted to go to Copper Mountain to learn to ski, I had some altitude sickness headache. It gets me right behind the ears. Whenever the weather changes drastically, that's where I feel it too. So you may feel it. Just take it easy.
Yeah.
Don't overwork yourself. Don't overstress yourself. Don't get heat exhaustion. Make sure you drink plenty of water. And let your friends know who you're with, people who, how you're feeling, so they can keep an eye on you.
And the other thing too is at least do something at least to keep yourself physically. I'm not suggesting that you have to be a rock climbing shape to do this, but if you go for a 2-mile walk every day, you're going to be in better shape when you show up. You're going to have trained your muscles to do that. They're going to use the oxygen better. So do yourself a favor and put in a little bit extra effort before you head up for the mountains by doing some walking at a minimum, maybe some hiking or some cycling, so that you build up not only your cardiovascular system, but the muscles that you're going to be using when you're doing that. I mean, if nothing else, climb a couple of flights of stairs every day, because that's what the mountains are all about now. Generally speaking, you're going to find that if you're going to be in a canyon, so you're going to be following a river, and the bottom of the canyon is relatively flat. You're not going to be you're certainly not going to be doing any technical climbing, and you shouldn't be doing a lot of non-technical climbing. That is straight up the sides of mountains. You're down in a valley. You're in a canyon. So.
And Susan says, by the way, it was wine in the glass. I added the ice. It almost ran over, but left it that way because I thought it was funny to see.
It was funny. It made me laugh.
And then she drank it with a straw.
I saw that.
Eric Schmidt says, you shouldn't rule out he didn't fly.
And he qualified that, is in my humble opinion.
Yes, or honest. Whatever he decides the H means.
Oh, okay. Jay, Minnesota. You know what? We've got...
Get a group together for drinks.
Yeah, there's a party there someplace, don't you think? Jay, Minnesota. That's Jana.
Mm-hmm.
And...
Susan.
Susan.
And Joel.
Joel. got a bunch of Minnesotans up
We're
there.
just going to put everybody together like a dating app here. Danny AG is late, but that's okay. You still showed up.
Mm.
And Beard Black said, never found an arrowhead, did find a fossil of a seashell.
Oh, yeah, we actually, I should say that I have found some of those here in New Mexico.
Robert Walker says, in the water, in a covered hole behind a tree, over a high ledge, in a hole in the bottom of the sea.
Okay, scrolling down a little bit more.
There's a hole, there's a hole, there's a hole in the bottom of the sea.
Wolf Guy has a book for sale. Oh, you know what? I know who you're talking about, Jan Kerr. Yeah, no, it was not him.
Cindy Guess. Are you still using New Mexico fishing regs to determine your where warm waters halt for your most recent recon?
Yes.
How else would we get a precise geographical location?
There you go.
Sea monkification. What do you think constitutes?
Sorry, I didn't sea monkification give us a name that we could use, so we didn't.
They
have
were
to...
joking about that.
Oh, okay.
He was talking about Back to the Future. It was a joke.
Okay, never mind. Sorry.
Marty.
Hmm.
Marty McFly. Anyway, what do you think constitutes in the mountains to fen? You could be next to the mountains in the foothills and it could still feel flat. This constantly throws me off when I gauge fenny.
Over 5,000 feet and less than 10,200 feet. Because
and pine trees.
Yeah, because you are going to have the issue of am I in, if I'm in the foothills of Colorado or the foothills of New Mexico for that matter, am I in the mountains? Is the question you have to ask yourself. Is it over 5,000 feet and under 10,200 feet? No, don't do it by topography, because I think if you do it by topography, you're going to start eliminating a lot of locations. On the other hand, you do have to be above 5,000 feet at a minimum, and then it has to feel fenny. A lot of places under 5,000 feet to me don't feel fenny.
Stone Castle. What is the top 2 cities people will be searching near?
Is that a question for the group?
I don't know.
All right, group, tell Stone Castle what cities you're going to be near.
Yeah. Hex Star. Toby, would you say there would be some sort of numerological significance to the 3, 6, and 9, 24 lines, 9 clues, relates to the Fibonacci sequence or the geometry of nature? Thanks.
So I have mixed feelings about that. I've always believed that there was a 369 interest in Fenn. Fenn. It's not quite a Fibonacci sequence because the 6 won't work, nor will the 9 for that matter. But there are. I have come to the conclusion. So the answer to that question is probably no. I think I'm past that. Although I have an interesting thing for you. These coins that we bought, the Fenn treasure coins that we bought, we got a specific set. We bought 10 of them, and they were from 250 to 260, I think, something like that. But anyway, Michael Hu, our friend from Tokyo, that gave us that bottle of sake that we drank a couple of weeks ago. One of the coins that he got was number 369. And he wrote me and he asked me if I wanted to trade one of my coins for the 369 coin. And I thought, Michael, when you see this, thank you very much. That was very helpful. So we both worked it out with Mike Cowling, and I swapped one of my coins for the 369 coin. So I'm going to get that in my package, and of course that's the one that I'll keep for myself because it is the 369. And then Mike Cowling realized that the coin we got was representative. What are you?
It's popped up too hard.
Okay.
Too far.
Tell me when.
Sorry.
So one of the coins that we got was the same number as his father's badge, number 251. And so I swapped that number with Mike Cowling for another one. The numbers aren't making. I don't have anything about the numbers necessarily, but I was very grateful to Michael Hull and Tokyo, no less, for coming up with the idea of getting the 369 coin to me. That'll be my coin. That's the one that I'm not going to give away. And for as you know, in a karmic way, Mike needed a coin, and I didn't mind swapping that one either. I don't know what he's giving me in return, But it was a lot of fun. I really enjoyed it, so I'll have the 369 coin. Back to your question, I don't have a good answer for you. Sometimes,
Toby doesn't study numerology.
yeah, sometimes I feel good about the possibility that there's something there. Other times, for the amount of time that I spent in it, I can't make it work. I can't make numbers like that work for the solution.
I usually shoot down something or
Yeah.
other by telling him, Fenn's a 7.
Yeah.
He's not a 3, 6, or 9. So, yeah. So Danny AG says, I think water high is a stream or creek that has higher water than usual, and heavy loads are heavy sediments that are carried in that stream or
Oh,
creek.
very nice. Good one.
Okay. And Asset Marketing says, water high is rain, and everybody's having rain this week, so maybe that's true. And heavy loads is snow. Ben Parisi, hello. Mary Green is here. Mark Harl just joined in and mixed up with book club night, but hey, this wine is nice.
Well, he must be in Sweden. That's why it's night for him.
Susan says the elevation kicked her butt, so
Yeah.
the elevation bothered her.
Yeah.
It does make you tired if you're not used to it. A lot of water.
Yeah.
So-
Twice as much water as you would normally drink.
Yeah,
Um,
that's true. That's why if you're flying on an airplane, you want to make sure you drink extra
yeah.
water.
You're going to dehydrate quickly, and that dehydration is going to, the minute you feel, if you feel the headache come on, it's too late. At that point, you're just going to have to find some place to sit down, drink lots of water. I always carry a small bottle of aspirin, because that opens up your
Blood vessels?
blood vessels, and that helps a little bit. So, but once you've got the headache, your day is, you're not going to recover from that day. Time to go back to the hotel or your campsite and relax for the remainder of the day, and then drink lots of water. Try to keep your food intake at a reasonable level. Avoid the fats. That seems to have a big impact too.
And Stone Castle says, I live at sea level in Sarasota, Florida. Last time I was in Rapid City, South Dakota, a few months ago to visit my dad. I was out of breath when
Yeah,
hiking.
yeah.
It is very mountainous there. Beautiful, beautiful place. Susan is talking to Joel about how she felt out of breath. And bring more water than you think you need.
Yeah.
Good advice. Lots of people dying trying to climb Everest. Wait. Eric Schmidt says, share your too far to walk thoughts with me. Think your thoughts at him. We'll do a mind meld.
Yeah. So I've said this a couple of times. I'll say it again. If you can decipher the riddle in the line, not far but too far to walk, I think you've got the key to the remainder of the poem.
And we've been working on that.
And we've been working on it.
We don't know that we have anything better than anybody else, though. It wasn't like, oh my gosh, if anybody knew this, they'd get the treasure right away. No. Let's see. We have Joe Mazzocco. Am I saying that right? Mazzocco?
Probably Mazoko.
Mazzocco? Ola from Pueblo. I'm guessing Pueblo, Colorado. Thank you guys for all that you do. Well, thank you for being here. We appreciate you. Fenn's Searcher app. Great idea. Oh, like the dating app, right? Mark Carl asks, I've heard of a map with height outside the 5,000 to 10,200 removed. Is one available?
Not that I'm aware of, Mark. There was a young, a group of college students who took ESIS data, and they produced a map based on 7 or 8 different characteristics, like the altitude and the proximity to water, and whether or not it was on public versus private land. If you look up Fenn maps, if you Google Fenn maps under images, you'll see it. It's primary. Actually,
You're strapped in, don't?
no, I'm not.
Yes, you are.
Yeah, I don't. Oh, no, I mean I'm not gonna take
okay.
off. if you search Google Maps, what they did was they took the map that came out of the back of Too Far to Walk, and they digitized it using EIS data, and came up with a possible versus probable, likely versus probable, but versus improbable map that you should be able to find, and it's primarily green and yellow. So if you see it in the list of images there, but it's downloadable and it's pretty good size. I didn't find it useful, and the reason I didn't find it useful was that they made some mistakes. There were some areas that were national forests that they called national park, and so I couldn't use it. It wasn't helpful to us.
Danny AG says he was looking at that map last night. Okay.
Danny, maybe you could share the link to that map for everybody.
Eric Schmidt says, why 10,200? What's special about that number?
It's a contour. It's a defined contour.
And then move up.
Okay, I'm at the bottom,
Yep,
actually.
there you go. Okay. Dev JB, Shoshone Cavern.
Let me fix this. Southbound, I'm going to ask you to drop that line of conversation. It doesn't fit with what we're trying to accomplish here.
Stew. Avoid fats. You have no he doesn't agree with you.
Joe also says your pronunciation of his name was better than mine. Mazako.
Mazako.
Yeah. Oh, thank you, Jimmy Fast.
AGK, what if, and this is from Sean Dotson, what if the spot where he hid the treasure is much like the one where the Fenn family stashed their camping gear near West Yellowstone, and this may be how he knows no one will happen or stumble upon it?
I think that's a perfectly reasonable. I think you have to consider the level of traffic back then and where they were. I don't know that any of us know specifically where they stashed their camping gear, but I think the bottom line is that it has to be a low trafficked area versus a high trafficked area.
Asset Marketing says remote viewing and dowsing may work for this hunt. Well, we don't rule out anything. And I make Toby think about finding the treasure before he goes to sleep, so hopefully he'll dream about it. I'm working on entering the unified field so that I can call the treasure to me. So do it all, man. Do it all. Do whatever works. If you can do remote viewing, do it. Let's see. Thanks for the great advice about the headaches and the water due to elevation. Best advice I've heard next to needing bear spray. Do you bring bear spray while searching in New Mexico? We
Yes.
usually do, yeah.
Yes, we do.
Haven't needed it yet.
And hopefully we won't need it.
We're pretty noisy.
We're
They're making
so we're
noise
doing woo-woo
and
magic
doing the drum.
Yeah, we're a pretty noisy crew. The bears are probably looking at us like, what the hell is going on? I know they look edible, but damn it, they're noisy.
Oh, Illinois Ghost has joined us, and Paul Ammons is here. And he thinks heavy loads is a log line, and water high means higher high water. Supratidal being your creek.
Oh, Illinois Ghost in the room. I didn't see. Oh, there he is.
Richard says a lot of the clues point towards him hiding it in the camping section of a Walmart. You know, you can make those clues fit just about anything if you
I
want
think
to.
if you could find the Walmart in West Yellowstone and start looking for Fenn's treasure there, you would make a lot of friends.
Stone Castle. I have a friend searching now in a small Colorado town. I promise not to divulge. However, do you think he'd be in the right state? What top 2 cities would you two try searching again? We wouldn't try cities because we don't think it's in a... Did you already say that?
Yeah, I think the cities thing, the problem with the cities thing is that you're always going to start from a city. We
Yeah,
assume
you
that
gotta
Fenn
stay
started from
somewhere.
a city, but we don't think it's at some point you have to be outside enough of the city to call it low trafficked. So we're not leaving New Mexico until we've literally run out of where warm waters halt locations. When we're leaving New Mexico when I can no longer use the New Mexico fishing regulations. How's that?
Dev JB, do you think Forrest may have taken a train ride from the parking lot?
Ouch. That's an interesting question.
He may have,
We
but he doesn't. The way he tells the story, he doesn't mention. It makes it sound like he goes from the car to the spot to the car to the spot.
Right. It could very well be that at one time in all of this, he considered the possibility that he might have to do that. But I think that's the point at which he was considering dying with the treasure. That he was not only taking the treasure, he was taking his life. Right. So I think that could have well been a possibility. We talked about that when we did our Denver museum conversation, that was a possibility. But again, you leave a trail, you're going to leave a trail. Let me say hi to Illinois Ghost. Richard, hi. Illinois Ghost. Oh, everybody from tomorrow night's panel is in the room. Jason, Richard, and Sean Dodson. They're our panel members tomorrow.
And I'm here too. Joe Mazzocco. You see what you made me do. How about alcohol, Toby? What should sea level people expect when drinking at elevation?
Well, you're going to get drunker, and B, that headache is going to start sooner.
Yeah.
We strongly recommend against not drinking alcohol if you're coming from the flatlands to elevation. Like I said, there's lower oxygen. That means the alcohol is going to affect you more quickly, and you're going to get a headache sooner, and it's going to be harder to recover from the, I won't call it a hangover because I'm not expecting you're going to get throw up drunk, but you're not going to feel good the next morning either.
Yeah.
Water. Drink lots of water.
Illinois Ghost. AGK, I walked up on a large black bear in New Mexico.
Oh. Did you, well, maybe we can talk about this tomorrow, Richard. I remember you saying that you were going out on a recon and that you might be coming to New Mexico. So we'll talk about that tomorrow. Yeah, that's why you carry bear spray in New Mexico. We don't have brown bears, we have black bears.
Danny AG says, I ran into a big bear too, but then realized it was my 300-pound shadow.
And we were going to have the bear guy on, what's his name, Cody Bear, and I was trying to make arrangements to get him on so we could have a conversation, and somewhere the conversation dropped off. I think I scared him by saying he was going to be on a panel and things like that. But I'll find us a bear expert somewhere or the other. I think it'd be good to have a panel with a bear expert.
Let's see.
Richard or Shelley, I'm betting you can run faster than Toby, so you're safe.
John O. Jones says, your panel's starting at 7 p.m. Mountain means 2 a.m. Greenwich Mean Time in UK. Please start earlier.
Like how earlier? Seriously.
Yeah,
so
and would you have
2
weddings?
hours?
Would you have your weddings a little later in the day?
Exactly.
We had to get up super early.
4 o'clock in the morning. What kind of wedding is that?
Let's see.
That's AGK. Woohoo! Less alcohol and drunk is a win-win.
Yeah, save money. I'm betting you can run faster than Toby, so you're safe if a bear shows up. Yeah, but Toby has the bear spray. I'll say, you spray the bear, I'll run away.
Actually, that's kind of my plan. You guys head that way. I'm staying to spray the bear.
Aw.
I want to go. I want to go out in a blaze of bear spray. Why will there be no paddle up your creek? Because there is no water in it.
We don't know. We've come up with different ideas on that one too.
Yeah, we've got to see. That's something that we can't see until we're actually boots on the ground.
Amy Smith. We don't know. We're all guessing here. Beard Black.
Beard Black.
Never trust bears.
I agree with you.
They will steal your picnic basket.
They will not only steal your picnic basket, they give you that look. I know Cody Bear disagreed with me about how smart they were, but I've never seen
Making them smart is just making them that much scarier.
Exactly. They are smart. Can you imagine that? Danny AG, do you think he did this in one day in one state? Yes.
PoemTreasure.com knows a bear expert.
You know, ask him, Poem, if you talk to him.
Him or her.
Him or her. Ask them if they'd like to come on our panel one night to talk about bears, because, you know, that's one of the issues that we all have to deal with. We've heard the stories. Fenn always gives the advice about stay away from the bears or the equivalent thereof. But we'd like to have somebody come on so that we can have that conversation. So if maybe you could talk to them and see how they feel about coming on a panel, use a link to one of the panels to show them how it works, and then send me an email to a gypsyskiss.com. Oh, no, a gypsyskiss@gmail.com, and I'll follow up with it. That would be great. Beard Black agrees with me. Yeah, there are no happy bears.
Bruce Kaiser, warm waters as tears fulfills the use your imagination imperative, but it doesn't give you an exact geographical location, so not super helpful for me. Mark Carl, we are not allowed to buy bear spray here in Sweden, and we're not allowed to go freely with a metal detector.
Ouch.
And you get a thumbs up from Beard Black.
2-0 USA Sweden. So I bought a raft several years ago based on a Swedish guy that has a YouTube channel. I wish I could remember his name now. I'll have to, but I'll tell you what, considering the trips that I saw him take in his raft in and about Sweden, I thought to myself, boy, if I ever leave the United States, I want to go there, because you have outdoors. I envy your outdoors. I have outdoor envy of Sweden.
All righty then. Susan says, Fenn has said more than once he could go straight to it. Then while in Butte, I found out go straight to Butte is a famous quote. I have a big imagination.
Yeah, you do. Brown bears. Yeah, and Jaina, and of course, as Susan discovered, the grizzlies are the University of Montana or Montana State. Their mascot, grizzlies. They have a big brown bear in there at the front of their school. Denny AG, which clue do you think? Good question. The first one.
Yep.
Because if you don't have that, you don't have anything.
That's right.
And that's not our words; those are Fenn's.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay. Yes. Poem Treasure said he'll look into it. Thank you. That would be very kind. I think it would be helpful for the community if we could put a bear expert on our panel.
So Mark Carl says, Toby, I envy yours outdoors.
Really? Oh man.
You always want what you can't have.
What was his name? Yanu, Yannu, and I think it was YK or AK. Look him up. He's got some great videos. He's a lone hiker, but he travels by rubber raft, not rubber raft, but they call them K boats. I have one. Just Yanu YK. That's his name. Look him up on YouTube. He's fun, and I watch him, and he has this great time. And I say to myself, that's where I wanna live close to that.
That's where I wanna be. So Danny thinks the most important clue is the home of Brown. It's a good clue, but if you're not starting out in the right place, anything can look like the home of Brown.
Okay, I think that's it.
Yep.
Okay, we're leaving chat, so we're not going to see any more. We won't see anything from here, but please feel free to talk amongst yourselves.
Talks.
Chat.
Talks amongst.
Talk. Oh, did I say talks? Chat amongst yourselves. Let me see. So I have got to move that.
Oh.
And then we're going to do a transition here. So
Okay.
say something nice to the.
Say something nice.
Okay. All right.
Fluffy clouds.
You ready for the close?
Yes.
Or should I do a trivia question
Oh, yeah, definitely.
before the close?
Well, tell them what's coming up, and then we'll do the trivia to get the prize. So don't go anywhere, because the trivia to get the prize is coming up.
Okay, tell them what's coming up.
But first, let's talk about tomorrow night. Tomorrow night, 7 p.m. Mountain Daylight Time, Wednesday, May 23rd, panel night. Woohoo! Starring our guest, Marshall Moyle. Marshall is in a YouTube video that is actually made by filmmakers, so it's quite well done. And it's about 4 gentlemen who crossed the country to search for Fenn's treasure and some of the mistakes they made along the way.
So up until this point, what I've had is what I'd call search tubers. Marshall doesn't necessarily qualify as a search tuber because the focus, the Fenn treasure is not the focus of his YouTube channel. But he is a young filmmaker. He produced the film. It sounds like he did all the directing, most of the recording and the editing. And as a young filmmaker, I wanted to give him a shout out. So we're going to have him on tomorrow night, I think. Because he's going to be calling in from a hotel at his brother's wedding, which will have just ended, so who knows what kind of shape he's going to be in. But we'll try. If not, we'll just have a nice chatty channel, I guess. I don't know.
We'll be there either way.
Yeah, we'll be there. We'll be there with the panel. Hopefully, Marshall will be there as well. And we just want to talk about his experiences because if you watch the video, it's very much what most of us on our first boots on the ground, and sometimes our more than first boots on the ground, experience. And so we want to get his perspective, what his plans are, whether he's serious about following up on the search, et cetera, et cetera. We thought it'd make an interesting and fun conversation. And then
on Thursday, May 24th at 1 o'clock, we'll have the Forrest Fenn Memoirs Book Club from The Thrill of the Chase, Chapter 13, The Long Ride Home. And that's a chapter concerning, again, Skippy and Fenn and their relationship. So we'll delve into that on Thursday this week.
You know what? I don't know if it's appropriate for this one. I kind of feel like I should have done it last book club, but I think I want to start talking about my theory on identifying aberrations.
Okay.
So maybe we'll talk about that in the book club.
Yeah. And then, of course, on Friday, we'll have just the FAQs. 1 o'clock, that'll come out. It's pre-recorded, and we hope that you will make sure to watch that and share it with your friends. Then also, like this video with a thumbs up. You can do it right now, in fact. Just push it, little thumbs up thing. Everybody go do it. I'll give you a minute. Thumbs up, thumbs up. All right, thank you. Appreciate that. And share it with your social media contacts, your family, your friends, and anybody else who might have an interest in the Fenn treasure. Or just simply subscribe, click on the bell, receive notifications, and share that. I don't know. Sharing is caring. Sharing is caring.
I like it when you're cheerful and giving out the closing slides.
I'm always cheerful.
Okay, I'm going to do a transition to full frame.
Wow.
And
and now, where's my? We're gonna do the giveaway.
You know what you need? Find me the trumpets. Dun, 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 dun. Do you have one of those?
Oh, I don't know. Let's see. I have a party horn.
Oh. Okay, so here we go. We got 2 gifts for you today.
Woohoo!
The same person's going to win 2 gifts.
Yay!
So the first is the La Conquistadora pendant. La Conquistadora is a statuette in the St. Francis, the Basilica of St. Francis in Santa Fe, and this is from Sean's original work of painting, one of her retablos. Now the La Conquistadora is not in the pantheon of the 256 Spanish colonial approved saints, but she is very popular here, kind of like Our Lady of Guadalupe is very popular here. So Sean does a lot of her imagery. So we got a very nice pendant on one of these ribbony kind of pendant hanger things, and then we have Aunt Lucy's cookbook. So and Aunt Lucy's cookbook has pictures that I shot, so I'll autograph the pictures for you. When I was in my 20s, I shot those images, passing through town one time. Okay, so here's what you have to do. Since Shelley brought this up, I had actually had another trivia question for you, but because Shelley mentioned it earlier in the show, here's what I'd like you to do. I'd like you to find the names of the 4 tallest mountains in the search states and put them on the video that has the highest number of views on our channel. Okay? The 4 tallest mountains in each of the search states and put them on the video.
So a total of 4
right.
mountains, not 4 from each state.
No. Total
Okay.
of 4 mountains. Tallest mountain in each of the 4 treasure states. Is that a better way to say?
So you need 1 from Montana, 1 from Wyoming, or you just want of the 4
No,
treasure
no.
states?
I
These are
want
the 4
the
tallest
tallest
mountains.
mountain in Montana, the tallest
okay.
mountain in Wyoming, the tallest mountain in Colorado, tallest mountain in New Mexico, and put that on the video on our channel that right now has the most views. How's that?
Okay.
Okay, that's all I got.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for being here today, for all your questions and comments, and for those of you who sent in your photographs, thank you very much. Thanks to all of our moderators who were here today, and for the super chat that we got from our friend from Sweden, Mark Carl, and from our new viewer, Robert Walker, as well. And for A Gypsy's Kiss, the vlog, I'm Shelley Carney.
And I'm Toby Eunice. Thanks for watching today. We will see you tomorrow night at panel.
Bye-bye.